Hello everybody, my name is Cody and welcome back to the Plant Channel. So today is day 2 of Plantmas, and the featured plant for today is one of my favorite, I guess, family of plants, and that would be orchids. And I love orchids, oncidiums, dendrobiums, but one that I always have and always seem to have one in bloom because I buy them all the time is Phalaenopsis orchids. And today I've got 2 beautiful ones that are in bloom right now. I'm going to try to bring that back as far as I can so y'all can see those absolutely beautiful Phalaenopsis blooms. And they kind of want to turn when I do that. But yes, these are Phalaenopsis. These are complex hybrid Phalaenopsis, actually. So a lot of your species Phalaenopsis are very small leaved, and they do very small flowers. But these have been bred and created to have big showy flowers, big showy foliage. And they're wonderful, wonderful houseplants to have. And contrary to popular belief, they do like a lot of light. So I grow mine in a south-facing window. It gets some direct sun, usually in the morning, kind of where my window faces. It doesn't get direct all the time. But when you do, you will actually can sun stress these leaves and they'll turn, of course, like a burgundy color. So Phalaenopsis orchids are readily available in grocery stores, Walmarts, Lowe's, Home Depots. You always see Phalaenopsis orchids there. And why that is because it's a very easy orchid to grow. They're easy to trigger into blooming if you know what you're doing, which we'll go over that here in a little bit. And who can't go wrong with these big showy flowers? They're absolutely stunning. By the way, this is a new background I'm working with. It just came in today, so ignore the wrinkles. I'll take care of that. But the studio is kind of still, the studio is under construction now, so things are changing, which I'm super excited about. So, yeah, that's why that background's up. It just came in literally like 10 minutes before I turned the camera on to film this. So anyway, back to Phalaenopsis orchids. So Phalaenopsis orchids, of course, are a epiphytic plant, just like philodendrons and anthuriums and monsteras. Those are epiphytic as well, meaning that they grow on other things. They'll grow on trees, they'll grow on rocks. They'll grow on plastic if you let them. So when it comes to picking out one of these, say you're picking one out at the grocery store, there's a few things you want to look for. You want to look for turgid leaves, so not dehydrated leaves. You want big, thick, meaty leaves that look healthy. And then I actually have been known to take them and pull them right out of the pot and look at the roots. I'm looking at nice, healthy green roots. There are a few dead in there. Looks like the Walmart people got a little carried away. We got some algae growing over here on this side, which can be taken care of by just letting this dry out. What I'll do is I'll take it out of this cache pot and let it dry so that algae will go away. I'm actually just going to go ahead and leave this out. Oh, look, it looks better that way anyway. But let's look at this guy. So that's, yes, there's not a lot of algae growing on that one, so you can see big, healthy, chunky green roots. They turn this silvery sheen when they dry out. And yes, if your orchid, your Phalaenopsis orchid has roots coming out of the pot, that is perfectly fine. That is a normal thing for these things to do. And I actually take these and I throw them to the side because I don't use them. So for growing these inside your house, they can handle relatively low humidity because my house, in the beginning when I first started collecting plants, I of course had Phalaenopsis orchids as one of the plants I've always had is Phalaenopsis orchids. So they can handle relatively low humidity in the house. They do like higher humidity, like 50% or above, like, anything. Um, and light and water. And heaven forbid, do not do not water your orchids with ice cubes. So, do you like taking a ice cold shower? No, these guys don't either. Water them with lukewarm water. What I actually do is I will set these in the shower lukewarm for about 15 minutes every week, about every week. Sometimes earlier than that, every 5 to 7 days, they'll go into the shower for 15 minutes, and I let the shower just rain down on their leaves, on their blooms, on their spikes, and they love it. But one thing you want to do is when you pull that out, you want to take just a paper towel and dry out the crown of the plant right here, because if the water gets setting in there, you get a chance for crown rot. And when you get crown rot in a Phalaenopsis orchids, it's 99% gone. Crown rot just takes it out. Another thing you want to look for, and I just thought of it, when you're buying a Phalaenopsis orchid in the store, of course you want to look at the leaves, the roots, the potting medium, make sure it's not drowning. But you also want a thing that I look for is I look for additional blooms that have not opened up. And that means you're just going to have more blooms to enjoy. Now, if you keep your Phalaenopsis orchid in a very hot environment, and I mean like 85 and above, these blooms aren't going to last very long. 70, 75, comfortable temperatures, like inside your house, the flowers are going to last longer. I have actually had Phalaenopsis orchids. I had one. She's actually finally not blooming. This Phalaenopsis orchid has bloomed for like over a year, which sometimes it's common. It happens sometimes. I guess I shouldn't say common, but it's been known to happen. So these are called flower spikes. How to trigger your Phalaenopsis orchid into blooming is it needs a cool period. So when I say cool period, at least 60 degrees at night. Nighttime temperatures in the 60s. Some they can go all the way down to 45, honestly. So, and that's usually in the fall time for me. But if you have a Phalaenopsis orchid, you buy it in the middle of summer, it stops blooming. You give it a little bit of a rest period. You decide, oh, I want this thing to bloom again. So find the coolest spot in your house, maybe a basement, maybe a garage, and put that guy in there at night if the temperatures can get into the 60s. If not, I'm very sorry. I really want to know how Florida, people in Florida do it. I wonder if it's a light. Like, I don't know. Some orchids are triggered by light too. But what I've found is 60-degree temperatures at night or lower, down to about 45. They can handle that. I helped Brad from What the Flock Farm trigger his orchid into blooming. These guys can take water. That's okay. What I'm trying to say is you hear people talk about watering their orchids, especially these guys, with rainwater, reverse osmosis water, and stuff like that. They're really not that picky. I am on a well, very high calcium levels in my well. They do perfectly fine. Now, if you have a higher chlorine level, you may want to let that chlorine evaporate out of there. But they're not picky when it comes to water. This is not a very picky orchid. There are very picky orchids out there, believe me. What else do we have to talk about with the Phalaenopsis orchid? Oh, fertilizer. I love MSU, all-purpose orchid fertilizer, but any type of orchid fertilizer is perfectly fine for these guys. Even a slow-release granule 10-10-10 will work perfectly fine for these. But I would just go with a regular water-soluble, mix it up, fertilize it every once a week, every other week, once a week, weekly if you want, weekly. during the growing season. Growing season is, of course, spring, summer, and fall. So, I think that's it. Oh, when looking, you want to make sure these don't have mealybugs. That's really the only kind of pest I've seen on mine. Of course, I do get bugs. Everybody does. I think I've only caught mealybugs on some of my Phalaenopsis orchids. I've got a plethora of them. I've probably got 15, 20 of them. I'm really bad about buying them at Walmart when they clearance them out because they're about done blooming. Yeah, I'm bad about that. But I always just stick them in the greenhouse and get them to rebloom. Actually, one of the oldest plants in my collection that I've bought is a Phalaenopsis orchid. Had her for about 10 years, probably. So that wraps up Plantmas Day 2. Thanks, guys, for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell so you don't miss anything. Have any questions, feel free. Send me a message on the Instagram. I can't talk now. Instagram linked somewhere, I think below, and on my channel. All right, guys. We'll see you in the next one. Bye.